Hey Mojoholics, I'm your host Rebecca, and in this 6th episode of WatchMojo.FAQ, our CEO and co-founder Ashkan Karbasfrooshan joins me to answer all the FAQ questions we could jam into one show. Welcome to WatchMojo FAQ episode 6. With me once again is our CEO and co-founder Ashkan Karbasfrooshan. Welcome. How are you doing?
Very good.
Great. Okay. So as you can see, it is Ash once again, and user Alex Bernard noticed that we've had Ash on quite a bit, and he mentioned on last week's show you only have Ash on. Did you want to touch on that?
Yeah. So when we started the FAQ show, the idea really was to have different people come on to answer questions like what editing programs do you use, which is a great question for one of our editors to answer, which has gotten 13 upvotes and only 1 downvote.
Yeah, so once we get more questions that will be appropriate for, let's say, an editor to answer, we will have one of the editors on to be in front of the camera instead of behind it.
Yeah, and especially if I'm traveling out of town or just tired of being here, so to speak. But in any case, I know you and Dan still answer some questions that are more geared towards personal preferences on the last segment of the What's Your Mojo show, and I think depending on the questions that do trickle in, you will over time see various people.
Right. So on this week's show, we'll be kind of clearing the deck of the suggest page FAQ to kind of get them all done and start with a clean slate. So you ready?
Ready.
Let's do it. With 9 upvotes and 1 downvote, what happened to Emily, and will she return to WatchMojo?
Ah, yes, Emily. Well, she's not dead, if that's what you're asking. So is it possible for her to return? Absolutely. But no, she left on good terms. She didn't burn any bridges. The bottom line is we are based in Montreal, which is to the east, north of New York in Canada, and she is originally from Vancouver, which is all the way west, north of, say, Seattle. So she just, after a while, wanted to go back, and she left on good terms, and that's it, that's all. So, my turn. This one has 5 upvotes, 0 downvotes. Are you planning to expand the decade-defining series to TV shows, video games, comics, maybe even with events or inventions?
Okay, so I don't know when this was asked, but many of these already have series attached to them. So for example, I think we started with events. So we did decade-defining events of the 60s, 70s, 80s. I think we went all the way up to the 2000s. So that was one of the first series that we did.
I wonder what was the decade-defining event of the 2000s, by the way.
It was probably what you're thinking, but I don't know. Yeah. But anyway, we did video games. We finished up with that last week. So that was per generation, though, not per decade defining, but that's how they do things. And if you're going to be really impatient about it, we have decade-defining TV shows coming out next week, starting the 12th of September, if I'm not mistaken, which is Friday. And then so that leaves comics and inventions, which I guess is something we can talk about.
Yeah, inventions is funny because one video takes so long that, and a series just, it's like you mobilize the whole company practically to do it, that it really, really has to make sense. But since decade defining has become our signature, you'll definitely be seeing more of those lists.
Right. So I'm going to choose a question now. Can you guys do the interviews again?
So interestingly enough, that one got 5 upvotes and 8 downvotes. Now, I don't know if that's a reflection of the question being unpopular, so why are we answering it? Or if basically you guys don't want us to bring back the interviews. The bottom line is, I mean, it's true, we've done a lot of interviews. Yeah. You've done a lot of interviews.
I have done a lot of interviews. I interviewed Fun, Ed Sheeran, Worf from Star Trek, a bunch of comedians like Neil Brennan, Chelsea Peretti, Anthony Jeselnik. But of course, the crown goes to Justin Bieber.
Did you know he'd become this massive star?
I did not.
Did you know he'd become this massive douchebag?
I did not.
We're doing top 10 alleged douchebags soon, by the way. Look out for that. Yeah, and I've in a previous gig, I interviewed people like Joe Montana, Hugh Hefner, Jenna Jameson, see a pattern there, Depeche Mode and all that. But the bigger issue is, 1, interviews don't pull that well, and 2, there's always questions you actually want to ask, but you can't because they happened maybe 10 years ago, and the publicist would cut you off. What's your craziest interview you've ever done?
Okay, so I have 2 that kind of touch on what you just said. 1, I interviewed this band who shall remain nameless, and the weekend before the interview, this is like Tuesday or Wednesday, and the weekend before, one of the band members disappeared.
Bender.
Probably. Like they didn't know where he was. They weren't releasing where he was.
Sex change operation? Possibly?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Nothing wrong with that, by the way.
So he disappeared, and then right as I was getting on the bus to interview the band, she said, "Oh, by the way, you can't ask them about so-and-so's disappearance."
We love it when publicists do that. Absolutely love it, by the way.
I get it, but lame. Anyway, then the other one was Brent Spiner. I will name drop this one because we posted it.
Oh,
and, yeah. So he played Data on Star Trek The Next Generation, and that was probably my worst, craziest interview ever because it was at Comic-Con, and he decided that he did not want to be remembered or talk about Star Trek.
Yeah, that's a douchebag thing to do, by the way, as well.
Yeah, so we ended up talking about bagels and baseball and whatever. How about you?
Gene Simmons, at my previous gig, I interviewed him twice, spoke to him for half an hour about music and all that jazz. And then at the end, it was like 2003. Even George Bush at this point thought that the Iraq War was a shit show. Nonetheless, when I asked him, so what do you think about the war? He's like, it's great, it's fantastic. All these people dying, you know, they deserve it type of thing. So we then, I want to say debated, but we basically then yelled at each other for half an hour. In any case, next one, 4 upvotes, 0 downvotes. 0 downvotes, not bad. Favorite top 10 list, you can cheat and tell us if it's, you know, favorite top 10 list specifics or genre category.
Well, I always like if I'm gonna cheat, I always like the ones that make me feel really nostalgic. So I really like the ones where we did like commercial catchphrases and jingles and cereal mascots and stuff like that. But if I'm going specific, one that we did recently that I liked was the Jean-Claude Van Damme splits. That was a lot of fun.
It's her idea too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the nostalgic ones as well. I like the music ones. I find they're really helpful if you want to get to know an artist. So top 10 songs from a given artist is probably one of my preferred ones. And anything classic and iconic. So top 10 decade-defining moments, top 10 decade-defining movies. I love those. Okay, last one if we have time. This one only has 1 upvote, but it does get asked a lot in emails. Is there going to be a list for decade-defining actresses?
So that is a very good question because we do not have a definitive answer yet. The top 10 actors per decade series did not do as well as we thought it was going to do. So, you know, as Ash said, it takes a lot of resources to do a series. So we have to kind of weigh the pros and cons of dedicating those resources to the actresses series. However, there are some options that we've looked at in terms of how to break it down. We could either do classic and modern, and that's it. Or we could do a classic one and then do individual modern lists starting in like the 80s or something.
Or we could also do top 10 iCloud pictures from decade-defining actresses, and maybe that would get more views. I'm kidding. That was very
Your Audrey Hepburn's was great.
Yeah. The bottom line is, this is what the show is for. You guys can chime in and tell us if we should kind of do 1 list on classic, 1 list on modern, or if we should go ahead and do all the decade-defining actresses the way we did for men. But the truth is, even though movies do better than actor-actresses, and even the movies, decade-defining movies of all time, it's not like the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s did that well. It was like the hardcore movie buffs wanted to see those, but by and large, it's like we could have kind of taken a shortcut and done old, and then like from 70s onwards. I don't know. The bottom line is, you guys tell us. That's what the comments are for.
Right. So head over to the Suggest page and add your questions if you want them answered in this show. Thank you for watching, and thank you for joining us.
See you next week, Alex.
Thanks for watching Watch Mojo FAQ. Tune in again next time and tell us what you think.